Welcome back to Pokemon Theories, where we know the real strongest Pokemon is not Arceus, but Magikarp. So today's theory is not as much of a theory as a question. This is a question for people who were watching the anime back in the Johto saga, and that is, what is the GS Ball and what was inside of it? This was a huge question that we had, and we were asking for so long in the anime, and we actually never really got the answer until around 2008. So I'll be explaining the origin of the GS Ball and what was inside of it in this video. So please make sure to like and subscribe if you want more theories, and let's get started. So the GS Ball is this random Pokeball that was introduced back when Ash defeated after the Indigo Plateau. So Professor Oak told Ash to go to the Orange Islands and talk to Professor Ivy. The reason for this was because you couldn't transfer the GS Ball through the storage system and transfer system. But what was inside? There were no clues as to what was inside. They tried to open it, but you couldn't open it. So there was a huge question, what's inside? What's so important, Later on, Ash was told to give it to Kurt in Johto. If you don't know who Kurt is a famous Pokeball maker in the Johto region. And so, it was so important. The GS Ball was just so important overall. They had episodes that just were about getting the GS Ball back because it was stolen. They made sure in every episode to mention it or show it for a little bit. And then gone. Kurt had it. They never returned to Kurt, even though they said, "Oh, we'll be back when you open it." Kurt never opened it. We were never told what's inside. What was inside, you ask? Well, Masamitsu Hidaka, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name. Back in 2008, there was an interview, and here is what happened, actually. And so I'll read it just because, so you get an understanding, and also because the background picture is a little hard to read it with. In the anime, Professor Ivy was the first character to possess the GS Ball. She called upon the help of Professor Oak to study it, but couldn't figure out how to open it or transmit it via PC. Professor Oak asked Ash to go to the Orange Archipelago and get it from Professor Ivy, which he did in Pokeball Peril. This prompted Ash's participation in the Orange League. At one point, Ash tried simply calling a Pokemon to be released, but this did not work. When Professor Oak couldn't do anything with it, Ash was once again asked to deliver it to Kurt, a Pokeball researcher and manufacturer living in Johto's Azalea Town. It presumably still resides there to this day, and its purpose was, before 2008, unknown. In an interview with Masamitsu Hidaka in 2008 by the webmaster of PokeBeach, it was explained that the GS Ball was meant to contain a Celebi that was to be star of a large arc of the Johto saga. However, it was decided that Celebi would be the star of the fourth movie, so the story arc was viewed as redundant and shelved. The ball was left with Kurt with the hopes that viewers would eventually forget about it. Well, Masamitsu Hidaka, no one really forgot about it if they watched the Johto saga. Because I can go on the street and, if I would talk to someone about the Johto, one of the first things they would say is, "Oh, geez, that GS Ball. What was inside of it?" Because we were never really told until 2008, which is way, way later. So this actually got a lot of people pretty mad that, it was so important, and then they just got rid of it and hoped that we would forget about it. Well, we didn't forget about it. As we can see, it's 20 years into Pokemon, and we still are talking about the GS Ball. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure we didn't forget about it. But Celebi starred in the fourth movie in Pokemon Forever. It was a pretty good movie in my opinion. Most of the Pokemon movies are really good, but way better than the anime itself, even if Ash is in them. But yeah, it's pretty good. And so a lot of people were just mad about the fact that Celebi couldn't have been in an arc or just a few episodes. At least show us what was inside the GS Ball and say Celebi went, and flew off into the wilderness, whatever. That would have been fine. Just at least open the GS Ball. But a lot of people were mad because Celebi was in a movie, but it couldn't be in a few episodes, even though a lot of other Legendaries were. For example, and I'm going to be saying only a few of the Legendaries, because if I went and found every single Legendary that was in every single episode and movie and special, it would take so long. But here are a few. Mewtwo and Mew were in the first movie and a special. Moltres and a lot of the other birds were actually a lot of episodes in the anime, the Lugia movie, and a special. Lugia was in movies and anime episodes. All of the Reggies were in episodes and a movie. Kyogre and Groudon were in episodes and movies. Zekrom was in episodes and movies. Xerneas was in episodes and movies. Even like the newer Pokemon are in episodes and movies. So why couldn't it have at least like shown what was inside the Pokeball and then just let it fly out? I mean, that's what I probably would have done. So at least people don't go 20 years after Pokemon's, official launching saying what was still inside the GS ball. But really, to recap, inside the GS ball was Celebi. That's really it. Celebi was supposed to be in the GS ball. GS, if you don't realize, stands for Gold and Silver. So Pokemon Gold and Silver, Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver. And it was near Azalea Town, which is interesting because in Heart Gold Soul Silver, there was the event for, if you brought Celebi to the Elix Shrine, I believe it's called, you could time travel and, so on and so forth. But yeah, in the GS Ball was Celebi, and, the GS Ball just brings so much hate into the Pokemon world. I'm not kidding. People are so mad whenever you mention it just because what was inside of it, we didn't realize, we weren't told about it until 2008. So really, that's it for this episode of Pokemon Theories, Pokemon Questions, whatever you want to call it, because this technically wasn't a theory, but more of a question. So if you like this one, make sure to like and subscribe for more. If you have your own questions or theories, make sure to comment them below. I would love to answer them. But until then, see you guys all next time.